An international rap star.
Did David say?
Yes.
He's just trying to make up for all of his forgetfulness of my rapping abilities. How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
So what can you tell us about your character?
What do you want to know about my character?
Everything.
All the things.
Everything. All the things. I like yours.
Thank you.
Very important. So I play Jake, who's a police officer, and in our first episode, we see as the cordon comes down, Jake's just in the wrong place at the exact right time, and so he gets stuck inside. And this is a guy who's sort of introverted and guarded and shirks responsibility and would rather follow than lead. But unfortunately, with his relationship with his best friend Lex, who's on the outside of the cordon, he's sort of pushed into a position where he needs to step up and be a leader inside. And it's not at all what he wants to do. And you see him sort of at war with himself, between protecting himself and being the hero that everyone needs him to be. And that's sort of his journey throughout the season, is stepping up into this extraordinary role as a very ordinary and sort of unwilling new person. But, yeah.
Who do you interact with the most?
I mean, I actually have the most diversified work schedule of our whole cast, because my character inside sort of travels around, and I'm sort of trying to enforce any sort of control of the cordon, and I get these jobs where I have to travel, and so I work with Kristen and George as Dr. Cannitz and Katie in the hospital, and then I travel outside. I talk to Lex, talk to David's character frequently, and then when we're on the street, there's Jana's character is inside, and so there's always places where people can cross paths, whether it's outside or inside different locations. And I think I'm the only cast member who's worked with pretty much everybody now. But obviously those outside and inside aren't crossing, so there's always a limit to how many people we can work with. But yeah, I work mostly with the characters of Katie and I guess Dr. Cannitz as well.
So how is Jake different from anyone you've ever played before?
He's a good guy,
Okay.
which is different from my most recent other television appearances. He's truly good, and he's contrary to some of the other roles I played more recently, he's very introverted, and he's someone who doesn't often say how he actually feels or what he actually wants. He's more prone to bottle things up and hold it all in. And so you see a guy who's very conflicted, and we don't necessarily know where it comes from in the story. We can see that there's backstory and that there's reasons that this guy, has a temper and is kind of closed off to opening up to people and all of that. And we know that there's reasons, and we get little tidbits here and there. But the main thing is that he's just someone who's very guarded and kind of hardened by life, and that's a little different for me. And he's got a different maturity than some of my other characters that I've played recently. He's just sort of been through it. In this situation, obviously, anybody who would go through that is going to rapidly become someone else, because it's just an extraordinary situation. So that's sort of, the main thing that's different.
I have a fun question.
Yeah.
If your character had a superpower, what would it be? Everybody gets stumped on this question.
No, it's good though.
Yeah.
Because he could definitely use a superpower. I think the most useful would probably be flying. Any hairy situation, because the virus is spread through contact, right, and fluids. So any situation where you encounter something, you just fly out and you're gone, safe in the air. And you could fly over the cordon and escape. Thank you so much. So I'd probably fly.
Fly? Okay, gotcha.
I want to know right off the bat how everything came to be, or just something you were to learn along the way.
How the virus broke out and all that. That's part of the progression of the story, is learning the origin of the virus and how it got into Atlanta and why it's broken out at this time. And in the pilot, it's sort of suggested that it could be some form of terrorism. and that's sort of the seed planted, and then that story evolves, and they sort of look into that more to try to figure out the source of it, because finding the source might help find a vaccine or a cure, and I think that sort of becomes an important part for some of the characters, is getting to the bottom of like, what is this and how did it get here? So yeah, that definitely plays a big role. Yeah.
So some people have seen the pilot, and you're starting to come to more of these conventions. You're in San Diego.
Yeah.
What has the fan reception been like so far?
So far, really great. So far, the reactions that we've heard is that people are intense is always a word used, which we tend to agree with. I mean, our work is kind of amazing. Our shooting during the day is just scene after scene of just. I mean, it's lighthearted in places, but the circumstances are so grave and so heavy. I mean, everyone is at risk of dying at every moment in a very real way that's unlike the Vampire Diaries, where you're living in a fantasy where they're supernatural creatures. Some can't die, some are sort of exposed to death in a different way. These characters have never been around or exposed to that kind of thing, and so this is very new to them, and so they carry the weight of the world on their shoulders in some ways. But you also see very quickly within a few days how these people try to restore equilibrium for themselves, because they can't just sit back and be fearful of what's happening and just hide out and not act. They still have to live their lives and find a way to act to survive and find food and shelter and all of that. And so you find that they find a new life, a new speed inside, and that's definitely that's a great thing to play with. But the fans have sort of responded to the relationships more than anything. That's the main thing that I've heard, is that people, by the end of the pilot even, just are already dropped into these people's lives and are wanting to see more about how the new relationships develop, and find out more about why these relationships are the way they are, the existing friendships. And ultimately that's what the show's about. It's not about a virus, it's about these people.
Yeah.
It's about these ordinary people in an extraordinary circumstance that are being forced into positions that is not familiar or wanted. And so it's normal people sort of becoming heroes. And I think people connect to that because it's stripped down, and it makes you sort of like the Walking Dead would do, where you go, how would I respond in a zombie apocalypse, except this is real. And if a virus like this did break out and people were stuck in this situation, it's hard to not put yourself into these situations and sort of feel with these people. So I think that's why people have been responding.
Do you think it's going to take the network in a new direction, or open up a demographic?
That's definitely a goal, you know. And for us, it's just trying to make something that speaks and something that is its own voice, and not trying to appeal to a certain form or audience. And the network's been very brave in doing something that's so polarizingly different from their other fare, but also taps into the same, people like stories about heroes, and that's why we have some of the superhero shows that do well, is because it's exciting to watch that, and seeing normal people having to sort of become that is a similar experience, I think, for viewers. So I think the same fan bases will engage, but it's definitely a more mature show, and it's a bit less stylized and more gritty and sort of right inside the action. Yeah.
How do you
have a favorite scene or episode you can
Oh gosh. Honestly, we are so lucky to be working on this show, because every script we get is just so electrifying to read. We as the cast, we just got episode 11. We're that far down the line in the season. We just got it yesterday. I mean, our cast texting each other and reading it, and everyone just responding and saying, "Oh my God, wait till you see this, wait till you see that." It's just all we're so grateful for these stories, and it's really hard to look back and pick like what the best part is, because it's all so rich, and there's so much that happens. But I mean, it's all a forward momentum building to the end of the season. It's very much a linear story in its timeline. when we finally catch up to the day that we tease in the pilot and see how all those pieces have come together to show us that chaos that we get to see. So it's almost a very rewarding experience because we've seen how these people's stories start to interweave and how people cross paths. And, it's hard to pick a moment. It's my favorite, but the end of the season, the last few episodes altogether are just there's so much heart behind it because we watch these people go through by the time we get to that sort of the crux of the story. You just sort of see everything, all these people's real emotions coming out, and it's really beautiful.
Do you know how it's going to end? Have they told you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
2 more scripts, right?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
2 more scripts. Yeah.
They just gave us the ads.
Yeah.
This was fun, guys.
Yeah.
The
Thank you.
Thank you.